What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and in today's video, I'm gonna share with you why I regret purchasing my Ferrari 458 Spider. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, I'm gonna give you the quick rundown. My name's Chandler, and I love investing in real estate. And the reason I love investing in real estate is I use my active income to buy assets that then pay me a passive income. Now, this passive income has given me the ability to purchase my home, my Tesla, my truck, and then last year, I kind of racked on a lot more passive income, so it gave me the ability to go and purchase the C8 Corvette from the Stradman and the Ferrari 458 Spider. I want to be very upfront in telling you that I have absolutely loved these cars, especially the Ferrari. However, with owning a Ferrari, there are tons of things that make it a very negative experience. And so in this video, I'm gonna share all of the negatives. However, you need to understand I'm not being ungrateful. I absolutely love this car and the opportunity I've had to be able to purchase it and drive it and experience it. But when you purchase a Ferrari, there are a ton of hidden expenses and a ton of things that you just don't really think about that end up being pretty negative. Now, a lot of people ask me, Chandler, which car do you prefer between the C8 and the Ferrari? And the honest answer is I love both of them. However, if I have to pick one to drive, I'm always going to pick the Ferrari. And the only reason for that is this car is incredible. It's faster, the performance is unreal, and it's very safe. When you get into the Ferrari, you literally feel like you're getting onto a wild animal. And because of that, it's an experience that I really enjoy because it's just wild. The sound is incredible. But when you're on the road, there's definitely a part of you that doesn't know what's going to happen. Now, I know that sounds funny. It's just fun, it's exciting, it's different. That's how I felt in the C8, but when you go from the C8 to the Ferrari is older, which is part of it, but it just is a raw animal and it's such a fun experience. So I've talked up the Ferrari a lot, but now it's time to share with you all of the negatives. Negative number one, I live in Idaho and the majority of the year it's very cold and it's either icy or snowy. Now, I watch all Stradman's videos, and when you watch his videos and his supercars, you're like, oh, you can totally drive these in the snow. Well, this car is a little different. The cars that he drives in the snow are all-wheel drive and he'll put on snow tires. I could put on snow tires on this car, but from everything that I've read with the rear-wheel drive, it just sucks in the snow and it's very hard to slow down in the snow, even if you have snow tires. And because of that, I decided, hey, it wasn't worth investing in snow tires. I'll just take it out and mess around and I can at least go do some cookies or something and play around in the snow. Well, I tried to get the car out and I literally could not get it out of my driveway. Actually, I made it out to the road and then I was worried I was gonna get stuck, so I had to bring it back in. So that leaves me with a car that the majority of the year, I can't drive it. The second major issue with this car is with it sitting in here for the winter, and I did try to at least start it up or do something with it every couple weeks. A little ways into the winter, it was dead. If you read any review, they say you should hook it up with a trickle charger. I should have known that originally, but I just didn't do it. So I'm left with a car that was dead in my garage. So I've got to go on, I've got to research, I've got to purchase a trickle charger, and then I have to keep it consistently plugged in so that the battery functions properly for the whole winter. James, did that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, and actually, I think you did all the research and purchased the trickle charger, didn't you?
Yeah, I had my roommate's help because I drive a Prius.
Nice. Third major complaint. This car was definitely a purchase that I did not need. It was a purchase that I wanted to enjoy, and because of that, I didn't really think through the parking situation that I would put myself in. So as you can see, my Tesla's on the far wall. This is only a 3-car garage. So I have to wedge my Tesla in over there. And sorry for the mess. Still got to take the Huggies inside. I've got to put my truck right here, and then we have to jimmy rig my Corvette in. And by jimmy rigging it in, I want to make sure I leave space so I can get kids in and out of the truck, which then leaves me with no space to get into the Ferrari. First world problems, I know. With it being parked like this, I'll come out here and I'll be like, oh, I want to go for a 5-minute drive and just have a little fun. I'll look at that. I'll look at having to squeeze in the door and go across, and I'm like, oh, I'll just go spin around in the Tesla. I know that sounds stupid, but for those quick little drives, it's just a pain, and it's very inconvenient to have my garage like this. When I want to clean my garage, I have to move 4 cars. That's why I haven't cleaned my garage. So that's one of my frustrations. I'm gonna show you how difficult it is to squeeze into my car. Oh, also, this is my other problem. This is my wife's car, which now has to be outside. All right. That was easy. So as you can see, it's kind of frustrating to pull the car in and out of the garage. Other mistake I made, when you leave a car in the garage, I'm used to just leaving them in there and then washing them later, but it's probably bad that the Ferrari's covered in dust and other stuff. So I need to go and purchase a cover. All right, let's go for a spin. All right, on to my next complaint. One of the things that drives me crazy is the sticky buttons in a Ferrari. Now, I had a Toyota Corolla that was like a 2005 or something like that. Never got sticky buttons, even after 200,000 miles on the thing. But these cars, for some reason, the way that they made the buttons is they'll get all sticky and almost start to like melt off. I know that sounds absurd when you've got a couple $100,000 car, and that's what I thought too. But if you call Ferrari, they don't do anything about it. You have to pay this company to come and resurface them, and it's like a couple $1,000s, which is, again, really frustrating. But I did find a life hack, and when I took it out to Dipped Auto Works, they were able to fix them up. And we only touched the ones that were having major issues because we didn't want to ruin the ones that were still kind of working that you don't use that regularly. So if you look over here, and I'll actually take the camera, if you look at these buttons, you can see that they're super shiny. That's because we cleaned it off. You have to be really careful because otherwise they'll scratch. And you can see on these ones, we cleaned them off, but you can see a little bit of scratch marks there. It almost looks like just like fingerprint, but it doesn't come off. And that's because when you clean off the sticky stuff, it leaves this bare and it's easier to scratch it up. Now, if you look up here, you can see these have been cleaned off, but these are still the original stick. So if you touch this, your fingers like stick to it and you can see it's kind of like sloughing off. We also left these ones over here because I don't use these buttons, and you can see that the button looks just kind of gross and it's got this really sticky, tacky texture, and as time goes on, they'll start to slough off. I wish I had before pictures of some of these buttons, but now they look much better. But with the shine, again, you're just at risk of scratching them up. Time for some of the more major complaints, then we're gonna take it for a ride and help everyone forget all of the complaints, which is exactly what I did when I purchased it. However, they are pretty stressful issues when you're having to deal with them. The check engine light on this car will randomly come on. Now, when I pulled the code on it, it was because of the exhaust we put on, but there's also some weird thing that keeps going on and off, especially when the lighting isn't good, saying that the back light over the license plate isn't working. So then it'll make these weird pop-ups that just stress you out. It probably doesn't matter, it's just a light to the license plate, but if I need something fixed, I'm kind of screwed because the closest Ferrari dealership is in Utah, which means I'd have to drive this, 350 miles to get to a place where I could actually get it serviced. And when I'm getting oil change, when I'm getting the fluids looked at or anything else, I could do it on my own, or I could try and find someone that I really trust here. But there's not really a company here that's trustworthy enough to get it done. And when you're selling this car, I'm hoping it holds the majority of its value, and I want to be able to show paperwork that, hey, I got everything done properly. Because if you're looking to buy a Ferrari, and I know I'm this way too, if I'm looking to buy a nice car, I want to see that it's been done properly at the right mileage and consistently when it comes to oil change and checking out everything else that I don't really know about, but I want to see that they're checking on it. And so if I go to someone here locally, maybe they could print up a receipt, but if I go and see that there's some ghetto company working on the Ferrari, that would stress me out, and I'm sure that's going to stress out potential buyers in the future if they're going to drop $150,000, $160,000 on this car when it hasn't been checked up properly. Oh, before we go for a spin, I forgot one other major complaint. I didn't really think about this when I bought the car, but there's no aux cord, and the Bluetooth only works for phone calls, and it is absurdly obnoxious and loud. So a lot of times when I forget to turn off my Bluetooth, the call will come in and literally blow out my eardrums. But I've never been able to listen to music in this car unless it's on the radio, because you don't have an aux cord and you don't have Bluetooth, which means you're stuck with whatever current radio station is on. Now, when you buy a car like this, you're not usually buying it to listen to the radio. You're listening to the engine and the experience and everything else. But I like just zipping around listening to music while I'm driving in my car. So it kind of sucks that this car doesn't have the ability to do that. I know that's just an old tech thing, but the tech was here when this car was made. I mean, this is a 2015. And so it's just kind of stupid because you can go and buy it, but it costs, I remember looking, it was like a couple $1,000s or something absurd to get it put in here with Ferrari. I'm sure there's some off-market setup. I probably just need to look into it. So if you've got any ideas on that, let me know. The other thing, everything for this car is just stupid expensive. Like, I wanted to get a new key because this one's kind of janky, and it was gonna be like $1,500 for a key. So I'm like, I'm okay with the janky one. Now, I probably sound like a total cheapwad, but it's just kind of frustrating because there's nothing special about the key. It's just them upcharging because they're Ferrari. Now, with all of these negatives, would I give it back? No, I love the car. It's absolutely incredible. However, there is one more negative that you don't think of that has actually been really frustrating. But first, let's go for a spin. The next frustrating part about this car is I went to get it insured, and I shopped it out with a couple different places, and the main place that I use for the majority of my stuff called me back and they said, hey Chandler, I feel bad, but we can't insure this car. You're gonna have to go and use a different company, and here are some options. And I said, well, why can't you insure the car? You insure all of my cars, you insure all of my stuff. And he goes, well, we passed it up the line and we don't do a lot of Ferraris. And because it's a Ferrari, they checked you out and they saw that you were racing it. I'm like, what the heck? I don't race the car. What are you talking about? And then I remembered this. And so it made a little more sense, but one thing that's frustrating about a Ferrari is you just get a lot more attention, and because of that, they were unwilling to insure the car. Now, granted, I have a YouTube channel with 100,000 subscribers, so I probably added some unwanted attention that is going to cause me issues, but it is what it is. The last major complaint is that this car goes really fast and it's really fun, but someone is always watching. Whether it's the cops or just people around town, it's impossible to do anything crazy in this car, and it's probably good because I should obey the law, and I do. Everyone is looking, and so if you're doing anything even somewhat unreasonable, and even if you're not, you definitely get a lot of negativity when it comes to people just assuming you're doing something inappropriate. And so that's one thing that's been a bummer, is everyone's looking. The other bummer is it is impossible to just run errands in this car. And the reason is that if you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, or you go anywhere and you park this car, you get bombarded with people.
You're not a construction worker.
No, not a construction worker. Thank you, man. Hey, you too. But people will circle you up, they'll want to ask questions, they'll want to sit in the car, they'll want to talk about the car. And so a lot of times I'm just like, look, I don't want to be a jerk, but I'm in a hurry to get stuff done, and I wanted to just enjoy the car, go to the grocery store, and get home, or go and fill up with gas, or do whatever I want to do. And probably one of the reasons that Ferrari owners and other supercar owners get this, reputation of being a dirtbag or a jerk, because a lot of times they don't want to sit and talk. They just want to get where they're going, and they're in a hurry, and they want to do what they want to do in their car without getting bombarded. So if you come up to me and you say, Chandler, can I take a picture with the car? Or can I sit in it? Or can I do whatever else? The majority of the time I'm going to say yes and try and do whatever I can to give people that experience, because I love that. However, if I'm in a hurry and I'm like, I'd love to another time, but I gotta get rolling, I'm sorry, don't be offended. That's one thing that really makes me feel bad, when I really want to give people that experience, but sometimes I just can't. But those are the negatives of a Ferrari, and the reality is they're totally worth it because the car is absolutely incredible. However, there are lots of things that I didn't really think would be frustrating that they really can be when you're trying to go and get stuff done, or you're trying to just enjoy the car without being the center of attention with everybody looking. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell. And I know the majority of my channel is spent focused on investing in real estate, and that's because that is what has provided me with the cars and fun stuff. So if you like the real estate investing, that's always going to be the core of the channel. If you like the cars, make sure you let me know in the comments and smash that like button. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos where my goal is to help you to build a huge passive income. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.